Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm also very excited to be here. I can see in the comment section as well. Okay, so good evening, everyone. If you are very excited, let me know in the comments. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining from. You are all welcome to today's session. Okay, please, before we even start anything, can you confirm you can hear me? Confirm you can see me? Confirm I'm audible? I can see some persons here already. Please confirm you can hear me, you can see me. Okay, I'm yet to see any confirmation. Hello? Please, can you confirm you can hear me? Okay, Daniel, please confirm you can hear me. Okay. Okay, Brandon, okay. Okay. Okay, thanks for the confirmation. Please, I would like to see in the comments if you can hear me. Okay, confirmed. Okay, Dr. Austin, I can see your comments. Okay, thank you so much for the confirmation. So once again, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining from. So before we start anything, I would like everyone to, as usual, if you know anyone who would benefit from this session, share the link with them. You can also share it in the data communities that you are part of. You can share it on your WhatsApp status. We want more people to learn, and we also want more people to build with data. So if you are yet to share this session with them, trust me, it is going to be beneficial to them. So please share this link with them. You can click on the share button on YouTube, let them join us, and also learn from the session. And so, once again, thank you so much for joining us this evening. So before we get started, I would love to know who we have with us. I know some persons had already commented. I saw Daniel, he said he's joining us from Ghana. Welcome, Daniel, for joining us. So I would love more people to drop their name, tell us where you're joining from in the chat. Okay, I can see someone from India. You're welcome. I need more people to tell us where they are joining from. So I saw Daniel from Ghana. I've seen somebody from India as well. I need more people to confirm they can hear me. Okay, I can see Oluwafemi from Ogun State. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Like I said, if you know anyone who would be interested, do not hesitate to share the link with them. We are going to be learning a lot of things today. And so, okay, I can see someone, Ifoma from USA. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. I can see Regina from Tanzania. You are welcome. Okay, so it is great to see everyone here today. Like I said, thank you so much for joining us. And trust me, you're also going to benefit from this session. You're going to learn a lot of things. We've had like 2 sessions recently, and they've been very beneficial. So this one is not going to be a different one. And so if this is your first time joining one of our sessions, you are very welcome. And if you are just joining us, if this is your first time of joining us, let us know in the comments as well so we can welcome you. And to those who have been with us before, you are welcome back. And like I said earlier, we've had some really great sessions so far, including our freelancing as a data professional session and the complete Excel data analysis workflow. We added like 2 weeks ago, and it has been wonderful. I've seen people show up, I've seen people learn, I've seen people practice. They posted it on LinkedIn and I reposted as well. So today we are going to take things a step further with Power BI. We've had an introductory Power BI class before, and I remember sharing the link with everyone, especially those that are on my WhatsApp channel. And I also posted it on LinkedIn that if you want to join this session, it would be good for you to go back to the introductory session that we had in the time past so that you can brush up your skills and really know what we had shared in the last class. And this class would not also be very new to you, because this time we would not really be taking you through the interface, breaking everything down for you. What we'll be doing is to practicalize now, right? Is to turn raw data into insights. And that is what you're going to be doing in this session. And so, like I said, we are taking it a bit further with Power BI. And we've had an introductory class. And I would, for those that have not gone through the introductory class, I would advise that after the session or one of these days, you can go back to the class and learn one or two things, because it is going to help you. And so, like I said earlier, today we are going to be putting Power BI into practice. I've shared the data sets already. I sent an email probably 2 hours before this class so that people would download the data sets, make it ready, and they can work along with us. So if you haven't downloaded your data set yet, please try as much as possible to download the data sets, to download Power BI as well, so that we wouldn't take much time going back through downloading Power BI again. So I said earlier, we are going to be working with raw data. We're going to be analyzing the data. We are going to be uncovering insights from the analysis. And we are also going to be sharing those insights or using those insights now to answer business questions and make informed decisions. Because knowing Power BI is just one thing. It is very important for also knowing how to use Power BI to solve business problems. And that is the goal of today's session. So we're going to move from data to insights, and from insights as well to decisions, how we can make decisions with it. So if you are very excited to be here, let me see in the comments. I don't want to be the only one talking. Let's see in the comments. Okay, some persons are saying they couldn't get the data sets. So that's why most times I encourage people to register for these sessions. And we tell them to register for these sessions so that they would be able to get the emails, necessary things that will be required during the session. So I'm going to send the data set again to the WhatsApp channel. If you're not on the WhatsApp channel yet, I would send it to the WhatsApp channel. So for those that said they did not see the email in the data set in the email. So I sent an email before the 4 o'clock email. So you can check your email. If you registered, you would get the email. So if you did not register, you wouldn't get the email. So please, next time, whenever I send a registration form or link out, endeavor to register so that you would get all the necessary requirements, right, before the session. So again, I would be sending the data set to the comment section later, and I would also send it to the WhatsApp channel. If you're not there, I'll be sending the link to you. Okay, so I don't really want to talk much. So we have Ogona Ogweri with us today, and he will be the one taking us through the practical session. So I would encourage you to get your Power BI ready. I would encourage you to get your data set available if you're following along. And please feel free to answer questions throughout the session. I'm going to be sharing the data set with you. For those that attended the Excel class, it is the same Excel data set that we used in the Excel class that we're going to be using now. So you can, if you have the raw data, you can use it. And if you don't have it yet, I'll be sending the link to the comment section. So if you don't have a laptop with you, that is absolutely fine. I would encourage you to also stay with us, follow along, listen, learn, and ask questions. One young lady last week inspired me, and what she did was, during the Excel session, she did not have a laptop. She had a phone. She joined with a phone. She didn't have a laptop. She listened, she watched, she learned. And what she did was to go to a friend of hers and borrowed a laptop from her. She took it, I think she said it took her like 24 hours to practice what she did. And she learned a lot of things. And that is how disciplined some persons can be. That is how determined some persons can be. Recently, I think today, a few hours ago, I was just writing some things down. Some persons don't take action because they feel they don't have the tools that they need. If you don't have a laptop, that does not mean, and you really want to learn data analysis, that does not mean you should not learn it. While you are waiting to get a laptop, you still can be learning, even though you are not practicing yet. But there are some times that you can still, if you have friends around you that have laptop, you can borrow the laptop from them, tell them that please, they should give you like 4 hours. Use that laptop to practice what you've learned, and then work on it. After working on it, return it. That is how you grow. That is how you can't just keep saying, I don't have a laptop, I don't have anybody to give you. You won't be able to really learn those things. It will not solidify if you don't practice. So I would encourage you, if you don't have a laptop yet, do not worry. You can still stay, watch the video, listen in, ask questions where necessary, jot down anything that Ugonna says, write it down, jot it down, so that by the time you are going back to practice, it would click faster, so that by the time you go back to practice, it will not be difficult for you. So I encourage you, do not be discouraged if you don't have a laptop. Just stay with us, follow along. And once again, I welcome everyone who is here this afternoon or this evening, and we are very, very excited to have you here. And so Ugonna, over to you. I'll be inviting him to the stage now. Please, if you are excited for that Ugonna is here, let's tell us in the comments. Just welcome Ugonna. Ugonna, welcome Ugonna. We are very excited to see you. We're very excited to have you here. And please, before Ugonna talks, I would like to let you know that Ugonna is very, very experienced. He uses data sets he uses Power BI every time. It's like when you brush your teeth every time. Even when you close your eyes, you'll know where to brush, you'll know where to go to. Ugonna uses Power BI every time. So you know that you are speaking with an experienced person. He has not just learnt it, he has used it. And so I'm very excited, and it's a very big pleasure to welcome Ugonna right now to the stage. So please welcome Ugonna. Yes, Ugonna, his name is on the screen, so that we will not kill his name. So welcome Ugonna. Thank you so much for for joining us. Really appreciate you for accepting our invitation. Thank you. Okay, we can't hear you yet. No, not yet. Not yet. Okay, so as we are still trying to yes, let's welcome Ugonna. Yes. So please, can you speak now so that we can?
Yeah, can you hear me now, Esther?
Yes, we can hear you now. So yes.
Awesome. 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 Thank you very much, Esther. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining the session today. I'm really excited to be here, and I believe we're going to have a very detailed and informed session. So I'm looking forward to your questions in the comment section, and I hope that from this session, you'll be able to learn a thing or two for those of you that already experienced with Power BI, and for those that do not have any prior experience with Power BI, this would be like a very good welcoming package for you to Power BI. So we'll keep it as simple and as detailed as possible, so that for people that are with beginner level experience, you'll be able to understand more. So thank you very much, everyone, again for joining the session. So before we dive in, I would like to talk about what Power BI is. I'm sure we must have heard about it before, but just a brief overview of what it is. So Power BI is Microsoft's business intelligence tool. So basically, it's what we use to transform raw messy data into like the Excel that we're going to work in today, into visuals and dashboard that enable stakeholders to make data-driven business decisions. So at a high level, Power BI imports and cleans data in Power Query, which is going to be part of what we're going to be looking at today. We create model relationship. That's when you have multiple tables together, you can be able to create a relationship with them so that you can have a wider view of the informations on your table, and you're able to visualize and analyze your data sets. So I'll be taking us now to the Power BI platform. Yes. So kindly confirm that you can see my screen. I should be on the Power BI platform right now. So yes, so this is the Power BI interface. So since this is the practical session, as we are walking through um, transforming our messy data into visuals and answering the questions that we have. I'll be also using the opportunity to talk about some various aspects of the Power BI interface. So currently we are on the report view. So this is where we'll be building our dashboard. So for the first step, we'll be importing our data. So I believe some of us have the data sets because I heard Esther talking about that earlier. And if we don't have, please check the comment section. I hope that Esther must have posted it by now so we can follow up. And if you don't have as well, or keep it as simple and as detailed as possible so that we can always make reference to it again when we have our data set and our systems ready. So Power BI allows us to connect to multiple data sources. So you can connect to your CSV files, your Excel file, like the ones we're going to be working with today. You can connect to a SharePoint folder, can connect to databases like your SQL, SQL Server, or your PostgreSQL database. Can connect through Microsoft Fabric, your warehouse, your lake houses. So these are various connection platforms that Power BI gives us access to. So for today, we're going to be using Excel because our data set is housed in an Excel format. So you click on data set and you click on connect. So the name of our data set is Zen Elite Stride Mason. Select your data set and connect. In just a little bit, we would have that displayed. So yes, we have that now. So we can see that this is our Excel file. And within the Excel file, we have a couple of sheets. So we have the sheet that shows the price. So we'll be selecting that because we want to import that into our system. Yes, and we also have the shoe sales sheet that contains information of sales information that we're going to be analyzing. So when you select the two sheets that contains the data that you want to do, we have load. What load does is that it pushes your data directly into Power BI. But we want to clean the data first before we start working on it. So we're going to click on transform data. And this takes us to Power Query. Awesome. So yeah, I hope everyone is following. I just want to
Okay, please. Yeah, you've
awesome.
stopped
So
sharing your screen now. Please, can you confirm you can hear me?
yes, I can. Yes, I can, Esther. So
Okay, so
can you
please, are
confirm
we
you can?
following? Sorry?
All right.
Okay.
So we are on the Power BI on the Power Query interface. I believe we all can see that. Esther, can you see my screen so I can proceed?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Awesome, awesome. So yes, so we're going to begin the data cleaning process, right? So we have our data set here and we want to transform it or want to make it into something that we can easily load into Power BI and make meanings from. So we have our fact table, which contains information of sales. That's the shoe sales table. We can see that we have columns that reference dates, the product's category, the color of the product, the brand, the country, the quantity of the sales sold, the payment type, and we have some blank columns as well. So this is the raw form of our data. It's not clean. We can see that in the product column here, we can see that some products are in lowercase, some products are in uppercase, and some products are their first letter capitalized, which is not consistent. So we're going to be working through cleaning all this because when you want to analyze data, you want to make sure that data follows a structured format. All right. So, okay. So I'll take it as bit by bit. Awesome. So we have we're going to start with the data cleaning process. So before you begin your data cleaning, it's important that you check the data types that your column ascribe to. So we have our date column. On the left-hand side of that column name, you can see the data types. So when I click on it, you can see the various data types. And just to ensure that that column is assigned or is ascribed to the correct data type. So for dates, it's on dates, yes, and that's correct. For products, we have our text. For category, we have text as well, which is correct. Color text, correct as well. Brand text, country in text, awesome. Quantity in numerical value, that's as a whole number, correct. Payment type in text, and then we have our blank columns. I think I have some questions in the chat. Let me take a look at that. Oh, okay. I see some people missed out on connecting to the data set. So I'll review that again. No need to panic. I'll share that with you again. So we'll just walk through the connection. We'll walk through the data cleaning process. Then I'll talk about the connection again after that. I hope that should be okay with everyone. All right, let's proceed. So for the next step in cleaning our data, we are going to um, clean the product column. So like I noted, we can see that the product column has um, text in different casings, and we want it to align to a similar casing. So we select that column, which is the product column. You go to transform in your Power Query editor. We have format here under text column. So this is where we clean our text. This for when you want to clean text related columns. This for when you want to clean number related columns. This is when you want to clean data and time related columns. This particular column is a text column. So we're going to text column pane and we click on format. So first of all, we want to trim. It removes leading and trailing white spaces. So for example, if you had the monk, for the first one, we have monk straps. So for example, if it's possible that when they were imputing the data, the during the data entry process, there could be a leading space after the straps, and that could affect how our data is being referenced. So we're going to use stream first of all to clean that. So when we've taken that out, the next stage is to format it into a standard format of case. So we're going to use capitalize each word first. You can see that it has been implemented. Now we have monk straps, loafers, Debbie, all the products now follow a casing pattern. Next, we're going to do the same thing for the category column. We're going to trim it in case of any leading white spaces. And secondly, we are going to capitalize each word, maintaining a unique format or the same format for the cases. For the color column, I think it's already in the format we want, so we're going to leave that. For brands, yes, again, we have varying cases. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to trim. Remember, trim is to remove leading white spaces. And then the next stage is to choose one case. For the country, is in the format we need. The quantity is okay. So too is the payment type. We have three columns here, column 9, column 10, and column 11, which does not contain any data. So we're going to delete that. So to do that, we select column 9, holding your control key, select column 10, and select column 11. You right-click on your mouse, and you see remove columns. Remove columns, remove other columns, remove columns. Awesome. So for the next stage of our data cleaning, we can see that this blue bar, this bar here tells us what our data is made up of. You can see that we have 500 valid, we have and 499 empty rows. We don't need those empty rows because they're going to impact the output of our data. So we're going to remove empties, that's the null values. So when you click on a particular column, you can see remove empty right here. So you click on empty row. I hope everyone is following. Let's check again if we have any questions. I do hope everyone is following. Okay, someone wants me to zoom in on the screen. Oh, you came in late, so that's why you didn't see where we got to Power Query. I will talk about that again. All right, okay. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm glad that some people are following as well. So for the person asking how we got to Power Query, when we were importing our data into Power BI, we chose the transform. Instead of loading the data directly into Power BI, we chose transform data. So transform data takes us into Power Query Editor. Power Query Editor is part of the Power BI interface, and this is where we get to clean our data. That was how we got to Power Query. I will show the step again from the beginning after we're done with cleaning our data. So we need to check again. We've taken out blank rows, which we do not need. We've ensured that our columns are of the right data type. Awesome. We've ensured that they follow a standardized casing sequence. So we're done with the shoe sales table. So we're going to the next table, we're going to the price table. So the price table this is our dimension table, which contains the price and the cost of each of the products that we're going to be analyzing. So we can see that, yes, it follows a similar casing, but we have a lot of empty rows. Just like we did in the first table, we go to the product column, right click here, you see remove empty, and then you take out the empty data set. Data types are correct. The data is in the right format. Now we can proceed. If you just want to be sure, in case you're not sure if it has trailing white spaces, you can just also click on the product menu, click on format again, and click on trim. All right, awesome. So I think we're good to go. So one last thing, we're going to be adding, or we're going to be creating an extra table. So the essence of this table is this is where we're going to store our measures when we're doing our DAX. I will speak more about that as we proceed. So we come to home, click on enter data, and we'll just name it measures table. We'll just call it the measures table and leave it blank because this is where we're going to keep our measures. We'll speak about that more when we get to Power BI. When we're done with that, you close and apply, and this takes us back to the Power BI interface. Before I close and apply, I just want to be sure that everyone is taking note of the steps that we're on. Awesome, awesome. I can see the comments. Yes, yes, awesome. So yeah, we're going back to Power BI now. So yeah, so we close and apply, and this takes us back to Power BI. So now what Power BI is doing is loading our clean data into the Power BI interface for us to build our visuals. You can see the price table is loading, as well as the shoe sales table and the measures table, which we created to hold our measures. We have our table. We have the table view pane, which we get to see an overview of how tables look like. So this is the shoe sales table, right? We see our dates, we see our product column, we see our category column, we see our color, brand, country, quantity, and payment type columns. They all look good. Awesome. Now, price column, let's check if it is cleaned as we did. Yes, so we have our product column, our price column, and we have our cost column. Yes. So for the next step, we need to create a model, a relationship between our shoe sales table and our price table. So why do we need to create relationships in Power BI? When you have multiple tables that you want to draw insights from, sometimes you have the extra piece of data that you need to complete your story housed in a different table. So when you create relationships between these two tables, that allows Power BI to give you a much more holistic view, like you're combining the two tables together side by side, right? And then you have a broader view of your table. And you can also use that to make more inference or draw more insights from your data. So Power BI already created this relationship for us because it identified similar columns that exist within our shoe sales table and the price table. But just so that I can show you why it is important to have this relationship, I'm going to delete this relationship created by Power BI. Yes. So the two tables are standalone. Oh, I can see that some people say they want me to talk about connecting the data set again. All right, okay, I'll do that now. I'll do that now. Okay. So just for those that couldn't catch up initially, when we wanted to import our data sets into Power BI, we went to get data. Power BI allows us to connect to multiple data sources. So our data source or the data source that contains the data that we need to work with is the Excel workbook data source. So we selected Excel workbook and we selected the particular Excel that we want to import into data. The name of the Excel is Zen Elite Stride Mason. Select it and click open. Right. So Power BI has created a connection to our data source in that Excel file. So we selected the sheets that we were interested in. We selected price and shoe sales. Those were the two sheets that contained the data that we wanted to, or we want to import into Power BI. Mind you, this is the dirty or this is the raw data set before we cleaned it. You have two options. You have either you load it. What load does is it just imports the data directly into Power BI without you cleaning it. So as it is in its raw, messy state, it just imports it directly into Power BI. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted to transform the data first. We wanted to clean up the data before we move it into Power BI. That was why we clicked on Transform Data. Transform Data took us to Power Query, the Power Query interface. Right? So yes, it took us to the Power Query interface. And now this is another copy price to shoe sales too because we already cleaned it and we already loaded. So this was where we um, cleaned our data sets, ensured, first of all, we ensured that the data types of each of the columns were correct. Secondly, we took out leading or trailing white spaces using trim. And we made sure that there was a standardized casing format for the product category and category. Then we went on to delete column 11. Sorry about that. Yes, column 9, column 10, and column 11. And finally, we deleted or we took out null rows. We can empty to take null rows, right? Awesome. So we did that. Back to our Power BI interface for the data that we've already cleaned. So I'll just close this. I won't close and apply. So I'm not going to load this into Power BI because I've already loaded the clean data we have. So I'll just close this and we still have our existing table. And I'll discard the changes because we don't need that. All right. Yes, I'm discarding those changes. Yes. Awesome. So we have our measures, we have our price table, our shoe sales table, which we imported from Excel. And we remember that we created this measures table to hold our measures. More on that later. So before I went to, answering the question of how we got into Power Query before we cleaned our data, we're talking about creating relationships between two or more tables that we have existing in our Power BI interface. So we have the shoe sales table and we have the price table. Currently now they are standalone tables. There's no relationship between both of them. So why is it important for us to have this relationship? So now, let's say we want to create a table visual, Now, visual pane, we select a table visual, right? We want to see more information about a particular date, a particular product sold on that particular date. Now, we want to know the price of this product, of this particular product, and the cost of this particular product. But cost is on a different table, on the price table. So too is price. When we try to pull it into this, it's going to break because there's no relationship. Power BI is now trying to force a relationship between the two. Let me close this. I do not summarize. Yes, you can see that it has broken our visual because there is no relationship. It cannot determine the relationship between the fields. So there is no existing relationship between the price column in the price column in the products table and the other table, which is the shoes table. So to fix this, we need to create a relationship between the two tables that we have, which is shoe sales table and the price table. So we come back to our model view. On the model view, columns that these tables share, we have products column, and we also find a similar column name called products in price. So we need to create a relationship between both. So we're going to drag the products from here and drag it to the price column to create a relationship. To the product, yes, to the product column. So we selected the products column in the shoe sales table, and we selected the product column in the price table to create a relationship between both. For cardinality, we are selecting many to one. What this means is that there are many products or there are many rows of products in the shoe sales table which aligns to one product in the price table. That's what cardinality means. Sorry for using so many technical terms. This is how we reference creating relationships between table in Power BI. So for cross-filter direction, what this means is how do you want the filtering to go? So we're filtering single, going from shoe sales to product sales. Make sure that your relationship is active and then save. Power BI is creating. Awesome. So now we've created this relationship between our shoe sales table and the price. Click to know more about the relationship. You can see that yes, it's connecting the product in the shoe sales to the product in the price table. Also, the relationship is active, yes, and there's a single filter direction. So let's go back to our report view and see if our table is active. Awesome, our table is live. You can see that because we have created the relationship between the two tables, we can now connect columns existing in two different tables together. So let's see if we have any questions, or let's see if everyone is following with us. Yes, yes, yes. So I can see some questions. Someone's asking, Power BI and joins function in Power Query, they work similar, or is it wanting when joined? Okay, yes, you can join tables in Power Query, but in Power BI or in the Power BI interface, we're creating relationship between two different tables. It's usually much more efficient for you to create a relationship. So when you do the data cleaning, you clean your individual tables and you bring them together. When you create relationships, it's just like you're joining two tables together. For those familiar with joins, you can join together where only data from the two tables will be brought back. Yes, yes, yes. Like we did a VLOOKUP. It's just like you have VLOOKUP in Excel. So you are checking for what products in the shoe sales table has this particular price in the price table. So it picks the price and the cost columns and pairs it with the corresponding product in the shoe sales table in the product column. Yes. Yes, I'm happy to see that people are understanding where I'm coming from. I'm trying to see if I can. Oh, for the person asking which version of Power BI I'm using the latest version of Power BI. So every month Power BI makes changes to their platform. So it's always essential that for you to keep up with the new changes, you update your Power BI application regularly. Someone's asking, did I clean on Excel? No, we cleaned in Power Query before we imported into Power BI. Yes. Yes, we cleaned the price table. So for when we're cleaning the price table, what we did was we removed empty rows because we don't need that in our analysis. Then we made sure that there were no leading white spaces or trailing white spaces in our product column. Hence why we use the trim function. All right, I think that is, yes, that is all the questions we have. So we're going to be moving now to building our dashboards in Power BI. So I'm sharing my screen again on Power BI. Yes, I just wanted to stop to quickly answer some of the questions that you may have for me. So we're going back to Power BI now. Right, okay. So to so now we're about to build our dashboards. So before we build our dashboard, we're going to create the DAX measure. DAX measures are calculations that help us to summarize our data. So this helps us to do simple to complex calculations within Power BI and keep them neat and tidy so that we can just make reference to those calculations and visualize that on our Power BI interface. So I have a couple of DAX that I've already written down. So I'm just going to import them one after the other. And perhaps I'll share that on the chat. Yes, I'll share them on the chat as I import so that you can also, or you can also type along with me as I'm importing. Right, awesome. So let's create our DAX measures. Let's remove this before, so we'll keep this blank. Okay, so we're going again to our measures table. Remember that we created this measures table specifically for the purpose of holding our DAX measures. Why this is important is because when you create measures, typically they reside within the table that you created them. So in order for you to easily make reference to those particular measures, it's ideal that you create a separate measures table, house your measures within that table, so you can always make reference to it when you want to bring it into a visual, or if you want to make changes, perhaps there are some corrections you want to make to an existing measure, you easily know where to reference. All right, awesome. So let's create our first measure. So to create a measure, you click the three ellipses, more options on the particular table you want to create that measure in, right? You see new measure. Awesome. So let's click on new measure. Power BI is working on it. And we're going to create our first measure calculation now. So remember I said I already have some measures down. So I'm just going to copy them and paste them. But I'm going to explain what they are and what they do before we load them in. So the measure we are creating now is total revenue. So what it does is shoe sales. And yeah. Corresponding products. So then we need our quantity from the shoe sales. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so we're creating our first measure called total revenue. So total revenue is meant to, for each of the, we're trying to multiply the sold for that of that particular product. So using text, I mean, so what it does is that for the rows, for all the rows, because we have 500 rows in the shoe sales table. So for each of the 500 rows, which contains information about sales, it searches for the quantity in each of those rows. Then it uses related, which is another function that checks for corresponding product, that's similar product name, picks the price of that product and multiplies it by the quantity. That gives us the revenue generated from that individual sale. So SumX then stores this for all the 500 tables for each. So this calculation will be done for each row. This is done behind at the, like on the back end on the system, creating revenue for each of the sales done. And finally, after it's done calculating for each of the row, SumX summarizes it together and gives us our revenue value. So we click on commit, and we're going to create our first measure, which is the revenue, total revenue measure. Right. So some people might be asking now, why did we use SumX instead of sum? So I'm going to create another DAX called total revenue sum and use SumX. I use sum instead of SumX so that we can see the difference between both. Right. So we created two measures now, one called total revenue. Oh, okay. Yes, you can see that Power BI has noticed an error. Too many arguments were passed in the sum function. Why? What sum does is sum just calculates it together. It just sums together the entire contents of a particular column. But because SumX is an iterator, like we explained, it allowed us to do calculations of the quantity multiplied by the price of the product for each of the sales done, and then keep it on the back end in a table. And after creating that revenue generated for each sale, it then summarizes together and gives us a total revenue. So that's the difference between SumX and sum function in Power BI. SumX is an iterator, like we said, while sum just aggregates, which is an addition aggregation of all the columns, of all the contents of a particular column. So let's see our second measure. We're creating our second measure now. Like we did the first time, go to the measures table, click on the three ellipses, select new measure, and now we're creating our second measure. Our second measure is, we're going to be creating a total cost measure. So this will calculate the cost generated for each of the sales done. So I'm going to put that now here. Like I said, I have a copy of that. I'm going to paste it here. I hope you all are following. I'll soon come back to answer questions that you might have. So, okay, okay, for this one, I'll just do it from scratch. So it will be easier for us to reference instead of just copying and pasting. I think that would be easier to follow. So we're creating a new measure called total cost. So you put the measure name, total cost. Then we use equals to start our calculation. So we're using SumX, again, an iterator, making reference to the shoes sales table. We want to multiply the quantity in the shoes sales table multiplied by using related drills down on the relationship that we created between our price table and our shoe sales table, and it checks for relating cost. And yes, now we have created our total cost measure. So we'll commit it, and we have that here. So let me use a table to explain what we have going on in the back end. So let's use a table visual now to do that. I think that would to give us a visual representation of what we're doing. So we have a list of products sold from our table. We have the quantity sold each day. Let's not summarize that. Let's not summarize. So these are a list of products. Let's include the date so that we can see. Yes, this will give more context to the data. Take this here. All right. So on Tuesday, January the 6th, one quantity of Boots product was sold. On Tuesday, January the 20th, another one quantity of Boots was sold. So these are two different sales done on two different days. Now we are taking price on from the price table, we're taking the price of Boots, and we're taking the cost of each of the sales. So for every time we sell a Boots product, it costs, we're selling it at $76. or 76 naira. Let's use dollars in this as a universal currency. $76, and it cost us $39. So how much revenue did we generate for each of these sales? Typically, what you do is that you multiply the quantity by the price of the product and subtract the cost for it. That will tell you the revenue generated for each thing. But because we do not have a column that references revenue, there's no revenue column. And we want to create a total revenue, which is meant to summarize the entire revenue that was generated for each sale. That was why we created this measure, total sales. So we see that what it did was that it went to the shoe sales table. It checked for each of the quantities sold by product. So on this particular day, January 20th, one product or one quantity of this product was sold. And then it checked for the relating price of this product in the price table and multiplied it by the quantity. After doing that, it created on the back end for each of the days or each of the sales done on each day, it created an invisible table for it and then summarized it all together. Hence why we have the total revenue. I hope this would offer you a visual understanding of what we did on the back end to create this measure for total revenue and for total cost. So let's see if we have any questions for people following us. Okay. Okay. Someone's asking, okay, okay. Yeah, someone is asking if we deleted the null entries. Yes, we deleted null entries because they were not necessary or they are not needed in our analysis. Hence why we took out null entries. Someone is asking about how did we create a measures table? Oh, you are not following. Either you're not following or you joined us late. So when we're cleaning our data in Power Query, we went to home and we just created a blank table called measures table with empty data. There was no data in it. The essence of creating this blank table, which we named measures table, was so that we can house our measures or the DAX measures that we created in that table. So it would be easier for us to make reference to changes or want to make updates to our measures, right? That was why we created the measures table. Yes, I can see someone's asking. Okay, I'm glad to see that it's making sense to some people and they're following. Yes. The relationship panel is active. We turned off the relationship to show you the difference between two tables that do not have a relationship, trying to join data from the two tables together. And when you create a relationship, tables have to be represented when you create a right. Someone's asking, how do you install Power BI? Oh, that you should have done that before you joined the course, before you joined this session. This session is just a practical overview. Someone's asking, is it related? All right, so for this particular DAX, yes, it is important to use related function. Why is it important? It's important because related function helps us to find related column row contents in another table that we've created the relationship with. So that, like we explained, it checked for that boots product. So it checked for the boots product in the price table and checked for the corresponding price of that particular product and brought it into our calculation. Hence why it was necessary for us to use related. All right. Okay. Okay. Yes. I'm glad that someone has gotten the explanation on why we created the revenue and how it was created on the back end. And Esther has dropped how to install Power BI on your system. Awesome. So let's proceed. Let's proceed. I think we don't have much time. Yes. So for the next DAX, we're going to be creating a total profit measure. So first, okay, yes, for the person asking how do we create a measure, this is another step of how to create a measure. So you go to the table you want to create a measure on, which is our measures table that we created for this purpose. Click on the more options section. You see new measure. Click on new measure. And just like that, you type in your calculation to create a measure. So we're creating a total profit measure. So because we have created a total revenue, I've created a total cost. So I'm just going to subtract total revenue minus total cost. That will give us the total profits generated. Voila, easy. I hope that was straightforward for people that were having issues with the initial measures that we created. So we're going to create another one. Now we're creating a profit margin. So the profit margin is going to tell us the percentage of profits that has been generated. So it's basically the percentage of the total profit measure that we just created. So go again to our measures table, new measure, profit margin, the name of our measure. Now we're using divide function. So what does it do? A denominator and then divide them by each other. I think that's easy to understand. So we're dividing the total profits by the total revenue. Total profit by the total revenue. So this will give us our profit margin, right? We'll commit our DAX and the measure has been created. So for the next measure, we're going to be creating the total units. That's the total quantity of products sold by in our shoe sales table. Total quantity. So this is a good measure to use sum. We're just going to sum. We're not using some X now, we're using sum. The total quantity in the shoe sales table. And that gives us total quantity. Yeah, Power BI is working on it. Awesome. Our quantity, total quantity. Okay. So for the next DAX measure, we're going to be creating the average order value. That is the value generated on average for each, like that's the revenue generated on average for each of the sales that we had in our shoe sales table. We're going to be dividing the total revenue by the number of rows or by the number of sales that we had. So remember that let's look at that again so that you can understand what we're trying to calculate here. So in the shoe sales table, we have a total of 500 rows. So this translates to 500 sales. I hope that's clear. So this 500 rows means that there were 500 sales done in this shoe sales table. So for each of the sales, we have seen the number of quantities sold. We've been able to generate the profit generated, that's the profit generated from the entire sales, to generate the entire cost that we have accumulated from these sales, the total revenue generated from these sales. Now we want to know for each of these sales, right, what was the average profit generated? And that's what we're creating in our new measure, right? So we're going to divide the revenue generated across board as the total revenue by the number, which is 500. So let's create a new measure. Let's see. Power BI working on it. Average order value. The total revenue, that's the revenue across divided. So for our denominator, we have 500 sales because we can see that as the number of, oh, what happened? Oh, sorry. I think I misclicked. So let's edit it, yes. Okay. We're using the count rows function. What does count rows? It counts the number of rows in a particular table. So, like I explained earlier, we have 500 rows. We already know that when we looked at the shoe sales table. So we're dividing the total revenue generated by the number of sales, which is 500 rows. So for the total revenue generated divided by number of sales, this tells us that for each of the sales that we had, this is the revenue generated for each sale value, for each order value. So for each time a customer placed an order in general, on average, this is how much we made, or this is how much revenue we generated for each sale. We commit, and yes, we have created our DAX measures that we need. So let's go back and see if we have any questions before we move to the next stage. Okay. Why did we use the related function? I think I've answered that before. So we use the related function to make reference, or to, like, if you look up, for those of us that are familiar with functions in Excel, so we're checking for a similar, a lookup value in an array or in a list of values. So let's say, for example, you're checking for the product boots. You want to check for the price of boots in the price table. So you're checking for the product boots, related name, boots in the column product in the price table, and then you brought in the price of that particular boot into your calculation. That's why we use the related function. Um, can the invisible table appear for total revenue like in Excel? No, because it's generated on the back end. I was trying to explain what is done, like what the calculation does on the back end before you see a result that is showed to you. So you won't see that invisible table, it's just generated on the back end. It's just done automatically, created on the back end. Hence why we use some X as an iterator. Okay, yes, thank you very much. In the Power Query editor, Home tab, enter data, then your table name measures. Yes, that's how we created the measures table, the empty measures table that we're using to hold our measures. Someone is asking what's the difference between sum and sum X. We've explained that already. So sum X is an iterator. So it performs a calculation before summing the results of those calculations together for rows in a particular table. What sum does is it just adds together all the values in that particular column without having any pre-calculation done on it. Okay, so it's asking if average order value is equals to average revenue. Yes, yes. But in a much more clearer term, average order value means that for each of the orders that we recorded in our shoe sales table, how much can we say on average was generated by order? Obviously, some days had more orders than others. Some days had, or some sales had more, sold more quantities than others. But on average, how much can we say that, okay, for each of the sales that were done, this was how much revenue we generated? What is the essence of Power BI to normal Excel sheet? So that's a very interesting question. Yes, they do similar processes when exploring your data and talking about cleaning your data, making calculations. But Power BI offers a much more robust view for visualizing your data. And we'll see the power of Power BI when we start building our visuals, and we'll start creating a much more holistic dashboard. All right. Okay. Okay, awesome. So let's move into the main part of why we are here, and that is to create our visualizations. So I always encourage that when we are building visuals in Power BI, it's really important that you kind of like have an inspiration that you're working with. What do I mean by inspiration? How do you want your dashboard to look like? Take for example, you want to go out, you want to you're going to church tomorrow on Sunday. So you want to, how do I want to dress to church? How do I want to look to church? What outfit, or what's my outfit combination going to look like? So you could go to Pinterest. For people that are familiar with Pinterest, you could check for, okay, how do I pair a corporate top with a leather pants? Or how do I is it possible to match a blue top with blue pants, or with gray shoes, or Nike shoes with Adidas sneakers, or whatever? So that inspiration helps you to streamline your thinking process, and okay, this is what I want my dashboard to look like. This is the design format that I want it to. So before I build my dashboards, I always try to create a draft of what it will look like. So where I want my tables to be, what visuals do I want to include in my dashboard, where do I want to keep my KPI cards, is a line chart essential for this story. Those are inspirations that I draw. And there are a couple of pages on YouTube, on Google, that you can just search for dashboard inspirations or sales dashboard inspiration or sales dashboard types, and you see some dashboard that some Power BI users have generated before, and that will help you to guide or give you some inspiration when building your dashboard. So I would encourage that we do that as a practice when building our dashboard. So for this dashboard we're building, we're going to have 3 pages. The first page will be an executive overview page, which will contain holistic information of the entire data. Then for page 2, we will specifically talk about the products and brands deep dive. So it's going to contain visuals that speak more about how the products and the brands are performing. And finally, in page 2, we'll be having customer behavior that will show us what type of payment type do customers typically use when placing or making sales, what payment type generated the most revenue, and the likes. So yeah, so let's start with the first page, which is our executive overview page. So it's going to contain things like our KPIs, that's our KPI cards, that's the DAX we created. We'll see that we're going to have a line chart that's going to show us the revenue and the profit trend across the months of sales. We're going to have the revenue by category. So you see which category generated the most revenue. We're going to see revenues generated by each country, and we're going to have slicers that will help us to drill down and make much more informed decisions. All right, so let's get into that. So when building your visuals, we have the visualization pane in Power BI. This contains different visuals that we can generate. So you can see, you can create a stack bar chart, you can create a map visual, you can create your table. So you and to your data generate a visual. Okay, so for the first one, we're creating our KPIs. So we click on the KPI visual. Awesome. So we have a blank visual. I'm going to expand that so that we can do that. So we want to fill it up with data. So we want to see the total revenue. Click on it. We want to see the total profits. Okay, let's use a card visual. I think a card visual will be much more appropriate for this. Okay, let's use our card visual. So we want to see the total revenue. Awesome. We want to see the total, let's expand this so we can see them. We want to see the total quantity sold. We want to see the total cost generated. We want to see the total profit. We want to see the profit margin. And we want to see the average order per value. So what does this mean? So we can see that we had a total of 355,000 generated in revenue from the sales. We had a total of 4,000 plus, or 4,000 products sold. That's the quantity of products that we sold. So from the products that we sold, we generated a cost, or we incurred a cost of 193,000, and we generated a profit of 162,000. And this is the profit margin, and this is the revenue generated for each of the orders. So for every order, a total of 710 was generated as revenue. So when we're answering the business questions, you see why this comes handy. So we've created our KPIs. So let's do a little bit of editing. Right. So when you want to or you want to edit, or you want to format your visual, you have to select the visual of choice, click on format visual. This is where we can make changes like the text type or the text format, the color of the text, the size of the text, whether it is bold, whether the italics is activated. So we're going to do that here now. So let's go to callouts. for the values, let's use Calibri. So we've changed the font type, and let's set the font to 25. Yes, that's good. Let's make it bold. Awesome. Let's leave the color black. Let's align it horizontal. Sorry, center. Let's align it in the center. Awesome. So we've edited the values in our KPI visual or in our CAT visual. So we can see that we've made it bold, we've made it darker, we've changed the font type. So let's do for the labels now. That's the labels, the total revenue label, total quantity. So we're going to make it smaller. Let's also change the font type to Calibri. Let's make it smaller so that when our stakeholders are viewing that's too small, our dashboard, we want their focus to be on the numbers, not the title. Your first attention should call to the numbers, and then you check, okay, this speaks to total revenue or this speaks to total quantity, right? Let's keep it as normal. And yeah, so you can choose the position. Do you want it to be at the top? Do you want it to be at the bottom? I usually prefer mine to be at the bottom. So it's depending. You're the analyst and you're the Power BI developer. So you have creative rights to do what you wish, but there are rules that apply to building visuals, ensuring that your stakeholders understand or are able to easily draw their attention to what you're trying to let them see. So let's use general now to edit the interface. So let's set the size to let's use 140 in height. Let's use 150. Okay. Let's leave the position here for now. We'll sort that out later. Okay, I think we created our visual. I think let's add more color to the background. I think I want to add more color to my visual so that it will be so I can make my border a little bit darker. Awesome. Yeah. Do I need a background? Yeah, I think I'll leave my background white, or I can just add a little bit of shade. Shade. Yes. So yes, it's easy for my stakeholders to see my KPI cards. All right. So I think we're done with the first visual. Let's create the next one. So for the next one, we're creating a line chart. So let's go again to our visuals pane. I'm going to select a line chart here. Yes, a line chart. So line charts are essential in showing changes across a time period. So we're going to be showing the total revenue and the total profits across the months. So total revenue, total profits by the month. So we're selecting. Okay. Okay. Let's use just months. So we're going to take out year, quarter, day, leave it as just months. So this will show us the total revenue and the total sales generated for each month across the dates or the time period reference. Awesome. So let's do some cleaning of this visual. So typically I like to take out for my y-axis, I like to take out the number. I can turn off my y-axis. So I'll just turn off the values. I'll maintain the title. Right. Let me format the title. So again, we're going to use Calibri for the title. 12 bold. Okay, that's cool. Just increase the font size a little bit. Let's leave it. Let's take out the color. Okay. So let's clean up our x-axis. So we're going to change the font type to Calibri as well. Increase it just by a little bit so you can see the month. Yes, I think this is fine. We don't want to make that bold, but we'll turn off the title because I mean anybody that sees the name January, February, March will think that that's his month. Okay. Yes. I love how it's coming together. Okay, let's turn off the. I want to make my title not bold. I think let me just make it. Let me change the font type to this. This will be fine now. Yes, this is better. This is better. Awesome. So for the next part, we're going to turn off the background of the visual. I don't think I need that. Don't need the background. I just want it to blend with the dashboard. This will give it a much more cleaner look. Yes, I think this is good. This is good. So I'm just going to put that here for now. I think this is fine. I like my colors. I think my colors are okay. Well, I can always come back to make those changes. So, uh, yeah, for each of the months, we can see the total revenue and the total sales. Yes, this is fine. So for our next visual, we're going to be creating, I hope everyone is following. When we're done with this page, and I'll come to answer your questions. I'm sure some of you have a lot of questions to ask me. Uh, I'll be back soon. Okay, so for our next visual, we're going to be creating a donut chart that will show the revenue for each of the categories. So we're going to create donut chart. Yes. So we're doing total revenue by product categories. Yep, this is it. This is fine. Let me expand this a bit. I'm still going to do some cleaning. Revenue for each of the categories. This is how much revenue each of the categories of products generated: formal, casual, open, and utility products. All right, so do I need to make any changes to that? Okay, let's just do a brief clean. Although it looks fine, let's just format it a little bit. Yes, I want my legend so that my stakeholders can understand what I'm communicating. For each of the slices, I love the color, I love the spacing. If you want to create spacing, you can expand it a little bit so that your size of your donut, okay, 50%. Okay, yes, this looks okay. For my values, I want to use Calibri, maintaining a unique, and increase the size just a little bit. No, this is too much. The level is fine. Yes. So I think this is fine. Yes, this is okay. Our next visual is we're creating a bar chart of the revenues by country. So let's select a clustered bar chart for this. I'm going to do total revenues by the country. Okay. Oh, okay. Let's change the visual to this or this. I think I like this. Total revenue by country. Okay. Yeah. So let's do some cleaning to this vision. Let me just expand it a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. What do I want to clean here? Okay. I want to take out all these grid lines. I don't like visual. I feel like it obstructs um what I'm trying to report. So take out my vertical grid lines. And just um I think I like the color of the bars. It's fine. From my Let me start with the y-axis. For the y-axis, I want to take out the title because I feel like the name alone tells you, and the title of the visual tells you that this is revenue by country. Maintain. Yes, I think this looks awesome. Make it 11. Okay. Let's do same for my x-axis. So for this one, sometimes I prefer to take out both the title and the values because the title of the dashboard already tells that this is the total revenue for each country. When you hover over it, you can see the country and the revenue. So I take out those and I turn on my data labels. I think this adds much more detail as compared to adding that and allows my dashboard to contain more information. So yes, so let me clean up my data labels value. Yes, let's make it calibrate again. Make it 10. 10. This is fine. So yeah, so we created all our visuals for the executive summary page, right? We just need to arrange them properly, add our title, and add some filters that will enable us to drill down. So to add our title, let's use text box. So we're going to go to Insert, click on text box. Text box. So we have a blank text. We're going to call it Executive Summary page. Executive Summary. Highlight it. Let's make it, yes, like this. Let's use 32. Okay, this is cool. Just going to move this here. Title of my vision. Okay, our dashboard is nicely. So I want to put my KPI cards directly underneath this. It's fine. Okay. Then I want to take this. Mm, so I'll like to take this one up. So let's bring this down. Down to this. So yeah, let's put this under my vision. Expand it to the center. So to my revenue. Yeah, expand it a little bit. Yeah. I believe this is okay. Awesome. Then my final visual is going to expand it. Yes. I think this looks nice. Yeah. What do you guys think? I think this looks nice. Okay. So let's rename the page. Let's call it executive summary page. So we created the first page of our visuals. Oh, yes, I forgot. Sorry. Let's include our slicers. So we're going to be having, let's see. How many slicers do we want to include here that will enable our stakeholders to drill down? We're going to be having 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 slicers. Okay, let's create the first one. So you select the slicer visual. So for the first slicer, we want to be able to drill by, let's say by brand first. Let's do by brand. So let's make it down. I'm going to put it here beside our, yes, this is for brands. So when our stakeholders drill down, they want to see brand like Nike, you select Nike. The dashboard drills down to show you the total revenue generated from the Nike brand, the total quantity of products sold under the Nike brand, total profit generated from the Nike brand. You can also see in each of the countries, I think there were a total revenue of 7,539 was generated from the Nike brand in Cyprus. And this is how the Nike brand generated revenue and profits across the months. Yeah, like that. Okay, so let's do same for category. Although we already have revenue by category, but let's just include it as a filter. So you can get more information about our category. Select category. Have also make it a drill down, drop down. Yes. Okay. So you can drill down by a particular category. Cool. So you can also, if you don't want to waste time doing it over and over again, you can just copy a particular visual. If you're making a similar visual as well, just paste it and keep it where you want to keep it. Yeah. So we're creating for country. Yes. So you want to see information about a particular country. You can see the total revenue generated in Albania, total quantity of products sold in Albania. You can see both the total revenue and the profit trend across months for Albania. Let's include a date. Yes, I think that would be a nice addition, a date filter. So we can filter um yes, date. Yep, I like this. Stone background. Yeah, okay. I need to bring this down a little bit. Yes, yes, yes. Can accommodate my dates. Okay, awesome. So we have our first page, which is executive summary page. So we have our filters, we have our card visuals that helps us to see the total revenue, the total quantity, total cost, total profit, the profit margin, and the average order value. You can also see total revenue categorized by the individual product categories. So for former generated a 50% of the revenue that we had came from the products under the former category, closely followed by casual products. This is extremely essential when your stakeholders are trying to make insights about how the business is performing. So what country generated the most revenue? We can see that is the USA, then the UK. You can also see that for both the revenue and the profits, we can see how they were progressing across time. We can see that both of them jumped in June. That's why you can begin to ask, okay, what happened in June? Could it be the summer holidays? Could it be um, there were more people in stores? Could it be that spending culture among our customers expanded within this particular month? So those are questions that this kind of summary helps us to answer. So let's see if we have any questions. I really hope you guys are following. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if we have questions. Yeah, someone is asking, are our dashboards informed by the business questions? Yes. Yes, it is extremely important that, so when building a dashboard or when you're trying to draft insights for stakeholders, it's extremely important that you first of all understand what questions are your stakeholders trying to answer. Are they trying to know um, information about how their sales is performing? Are they trying to know if they're making more profit or loss? Are they trying to know if they're trying to cut down spending? Maybe they're trying to identify a particular product that is generating a lot of cost for them so that they can either discontinue that product or switch to a different brand that will offer them lesser cost for that particular product. So it's important that you understand, first of all, what questions are my stakeholders are trying to answer. Secondly, you need to understand what data is available to me. So the data is basically what you're going to use to answer the question. So if someone is asking you, how much profit do we generate? And in the data, there's no indication of profit. How would you be able to answer that question if you don't have that data? So first of all, you understand what the questions your stakeholders are trying to answer. Secondly, you understand, do I have the data needed to answer this question? Is it readily available to me? Do I need to generate it like we generated the revenue by adding or subtracting or mixing two and two together? Or is it just not available and then I need to get it from a different data source? So that is important before then you build your dashboard. This also helps you in identifying what tool will help you to answer these questions better because we have a lot of business intelligence tools. That's why someone is asking me, what's the difference between working with Power BI and working with Excel, since it looks like they do practically the same thing. So I hope that answers the question. Do you need to leave your data on a while when working with Power BI? No, 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 you don't. You just work as you import your data. Um, yes, Power BI, you can work offline. Currently, I'm offline. You can see I'm not signed in to my Power BI account. So Power BI allows you to, that's one of the advantages of Power BI, allows you to build your dashboard despite being offline. But if you want to have a much more robust feature, it's essential that you use either your corporate or your school email to log in and your internet access also, so that you can have much more features available to you when you're online. Okay, I'm glad to see that everyone is following. Awesome, awesome. Okay, okay. Okay, yeah, someone says the line chart needs to be small. Yeah, you have creative rights as long as you're able to visualize it in such a way that your stakeholders can understand um, the information you're trying to drive across, and ensuring that when they look at the dashboard, they don't get lost because you won't always be there to explain it to them. So I think that will help. Okay, all right, so let's move to the next page or to the next visual page. So we're going to create a new page now. So for this new page, we're going to be analyzing, or going to drill down to information about the brands and about the product. So we're going to create visuals that speak to the brands and the products. So we're going to create bar charts and a table that will see the products for each of the products, the units, that's quantity sold, the revenue generated, how much profit each of those products made, and the profit margin. So let's dive into that. So I want to maintain some elements from my first visual here. So I want to maintain this. I'm going to copy it and paste it on my new page. Yes, I'm going to copy the title as well. So I'm just going to change that so I don't have to start all over again. Okay, so we're going to call this, we're going to give it, let's call it brand and product overview. Let's format, then let's make it 32. Oh, this is too large. Let's keep it at 24. Okay, this is cool. I like this. Okay, so we're going to be creating a couple of visuals on this page. So the first visual, we're going to create a bar chart that tells us the units sold, that's the quantity sold by each product. So we're going to be using a bar chart for this. So let's select a bar chart. Let's use this, yes. A bar chart visual. So we're selecting the total quantity for each of the products. Okay. Yes. So you can see the total quantity sold for each of the products. This gives our stakeholders more insights as to product performance, how our products are performing in reference to the quantity sold. So let me show you guys a little cheat sheet. So whenever I have similar visuals that I don't want to start doing the formatting all over again, because sometimes it can be a very long process. So I just look for a similar visual that I've already formatted, like the total revenue by country, and then click on my format painter. So this copies the format you've implemented on a particular visual and goes to a similar visual. Awesome. So now we see the total quantity by product. For each of the products, we have the number of the quantity, total quantity sold for each of the products. So from an overview, I can see that, or from a quick glance, I can see that Monk Strap is the best selling product in terms of quantity. Okay. So for the next visual, we're going to be creating the profit by product. So we want to see which product is generated the most profit. We can see that Monk Strap sold the most. Let's also see if Monk Strap made the most profit. So we're creating another bar chart and we're doing total profit by product. Okay, let's put it side by side. Our, yes. Wow, this is we can already see something here. We can see that, okay, let's format it first before I tell you what I see. Okay, let's click on my format painter, copy the formatting style from this visual and put it in. Okay, awesome. Awesome. So we can see that Monkstrap generated the most or sold the most in terms of quantity. So a lot of people bought Monkstrap, but it just ranks fourth in the profit generated. So even though Monkstrap sold the most product, it did not generate the most profit for the business. Surprisingly, it was Canvas who sold third to last place in terms of quantity, but generated the most products. So you can see how our visuals can be guiding the perspectives of our stakeholders to draw insights. So what can they infer from this? Monkstrap may be selling well. If they had focused on just the number of products sold, they might not have seen that it did not generate as much profit for the business as Canvas, which sold far lesser than Monkstrap. Okay, so for the next visual, we're going to be creating. I really hope this is exciting you guys as much as it's exciting me. I don't know if it's because it's my job, but it's very exciting. So we're going to creating a table that will show us for each of the products how much how how much is sold. That's in terms of like the quantity, in terms of the revenue they generated, in terms of the profit they generated the products. So we're creating a new visual for this. So let's click on our table. So we're still going to arrange this again. We're still going to, once we're done with all our visuals, so we know where to put them. So for each product, we want to see the total revenue. We want to see the total profits. We want to see the total quantity. We want to see the total cost. That's what's the cost implication for selling each of these products. And finally, we want to see the profit margin of each of these products. Awesome. So let me expand this. Before we arrange it, let me expand this again. Let's clean it up. So let's format our vision. So first of all, I want my style to be minimal. Then this looks nicer on the eyes. For the column headers, I want them to be of this type. Just increase it a little bit. Yes, so it's easy to read. Yeah, I think this is fine. For the values, for the totals, I want to turn off the total. I'm not interested in total. I just want to see how each of the products is performing. Okay, that's cool. Right. So let's clean up the filters. The text, the value is a little bit, sorry. So let's change the format type. Let's increase it a little bit. 12 is fine. Yes. For readability. Okay. I think this is fine. I think this is clean. This looks clean. Let's expand. Yes, it goes crossboard for the layout. For the grid, I don't need borders. Maybe I'll just change the border color to black. Yes, I think this is fine. Okay. Yeah, I like how my table looks. I think this is perfect. Yes. So what this table does is it offers our stakeholders a chance to see, okay, this is how each product is performing across our individual metrics. So for boots, we can see that this is how much it generated in revenue. We can see this is how much profit it pulled in. This is the total quantity sold for this particular product, the total cost implication of selling this product, and the profit margin. That's the cost. to profit ratio for this particular product. Okay, I think this is cool. This is fine. Okay, yes. So let's create our final visual before we start arranging our visuals together. So I want to create a revenue by brand. It's going to be a bar chart as well. So we want to see how much revenue each brand generated. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, yes. So we want to see how much revenue each brand generated. So we're selecting our brand visual and the total revenue. Nice. So we're seeing how each brand is performing for our stakeholders. Okay, so I think we have our visuals already. So let's arrange our dashboard. Yes. I'm going to make this small. Just make sure it is the correct image. Okay. Okay. Awesome. I mean, forgive my simplistic design. You can design it as you please, as long as you're able to ensure that when your stakeholders look at your dashboard, they're able to infer. So I don't want to go into complex designs, just simplicity and clarity over crazy designs. That's what we say in as analysts. Yes. Okay. Fine. So I think this looks great. So we can see how the products are performing in terms of the quantity they sold. We can also see how the products are performing in terms of the profit they generated. And then our table gives us a holistic comparison of what products you can also use your sort. Okay, what product generated the most revenue? That's Canvas. What product generated the most profit? See, let's filter down. Canvas as well. What product sold the most? You can see that is Monkstrap. What product had the most cost implication or generated the most cost implication? Again, it's Canvas. Canvas generated the most revenue, generated the most profit. It didn't sell as much in terms of quantity, and it also cost a lot to sell. And which product had the highest profit margin? You can see that it's Debbie. So whatever questions our stakeholders are interested in answering in regards to certain products, they can make reference to our dashboard today. So let's give them some extra drill. We can include some filters like we had in the first page. So I would like to include the date filter so they can see how a particular product was performing during a particular period. Let's copy that and put it. Okay, so I want to copy my date. Yes, and copy it into this page. Okay, no, doesn't. I'll just let's be sure that it works. Yes, so in case we want to see how our products and brands are performing across a particular period in time, our date filter offers us that functionality. think I will take this down a little bit just to be under my date filter. Yes. Okay, this is fine. I'm going to reduce this a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, just okay. Okay. I'm just going to reduce this some more. 6. Okay. All right. I think this is fine. Yep. I think this is fine. Yeah. Okay. So we can see how our products are performing. So let's add some filters for the brands. Yes, for the brands and category and for that same 3 filters that we had in the first vision. Let's see. I'm just going to copy them and paste them in my brands and products overview page. Okay. Don't think. Okay, so we have, yes, our brands and products overview page is put together. So what can we infer from here? So we can say, okay, in a particular country, let's use Canada, for example. In Canada, we can see what products sold the most. So in Canada, boots sold the most in terms of quantity. Canvas generated the largest profit or the most profit, with boots following closely second. In Canada, this is how well each of these products were performing in terms of their revenue, their total profit, their total quantity, and their total cost. And as a brand or for the brands in Canada, Clarks generated the most revenue. So let's try a different country to see if it's the same. Let's try Germany. Clarks is also doing well in Germany. Let's try Ghana. Oh, Clarks is doing well in Ghana. So let's try Australia. Okay, so in Australia, we can see that generated the most revenue. So that could give you some insights. Okay, in this particular region, our customers perhaps prefer this particular brand as compared to Nike. As if you're seeing in Canada, for example, Zara is doing better than Nike again, but Clarks is doing better than Zara. But in Australia, Zara brand is doing far better than Clarks. So this gives us more insights into how our brands and our products are performing in terms of the quantity sold, profit, um, revenue generated, and you can also drill down to country-specific information about our products and brands. Let's rename our page here too to maintain consistency. So we have brands and product overview. Awesome. Yeah, so we're done with our second page visual. So let's see if we have any questions. Okay. Okay, yes, I think Esther would have a recording of the visual posted on YouTube, so you can always make reference and always go back to make reference to follow at a slower pace. So because of time, I'm just trying to be as fast as I can, but still maintain
Okay, so sorry, Ugonna, I didn't hear what you said. Did you say anything? Hello? Okay. Um, so I'm trying to get to him now. So I would encourage everyone to, yeah, please confirm you can hear me. Okay, so the facilitator is trying to join back. I think the network kicked him out of the call. Please, can you confirm you can hear me clearly right now? To be sure. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, so I would encourage us to go back to or try to do what he has done, go back to various things that he has taught us this evening. He's going to join us shortly, but while he's still trying to sort out the network issue that I currently have, please let's still review. If you have any questions, let's ask them in the comments. So before he joins us, we are still going to be okay. Is on the call now. So while he's still trying to sort everything out, I would like to encourage you to go back and watch it. You know, I said it earlier in the comments that, especially for the beginners, you're not going to get all the calculations right now. You're not going to get all the measures right now. You still need to go back to it and replay, rewatch it to ensure that you get it. So Ugonna is here right now. Before we I don't want us to take. Okay, Ugonna, are you here now? Please confirm you can hear me
Yes,
now.
yes, yes, I can. Apologies for the break in transmission. Can you hear me? Yeah, hello everyone. Sorry for the break in transmission. Please, Esther, can you hear me?
Okay, so Ugona, you can try sharing your screen now.
Yeah, I just want to confirm if you can. Okay.
Yes, I
Yeah, I
can
just
hear
needed the
you.
confirmation to be sure that.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I
sincerely
can hear you.
apologies for the breaking transmission.
No problem at all.
All right, so
Okay, so
I'm going to
I
continue
think
from where we
while you
stopped.
are
I
still
think I've.
trying to, sorry, while you are still trying
Hmm?
to turn on your screen, I can see a few questions on the in the comments section. If you can try and help us to answer them quickly, anyways, and they can also go back and do their own research because of time. So please just help us check through the comment section and answer those questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Esther. So again, apologies for the breaking transmission. I think before I left, we just finished building the brands and products overview page, and we're trying to answer some questions that relates to um that page. I can see some people. I guess you must have joined in it, so hence why. Okay, how did we get the total revenue box? Total revenue box. Here we created a DAX measure for total revenue. So we had imported our clean data into Power BI. We spoke about that earlier, and that was what we used in the revenue, total revenue box on our vision. In that answers the question. You can format your margin as percentage. Yes, yes, you can. Yes, you can. I just chose to leave it as decimal for mine. Okay. Okay. I'm glad to see that everyone is following. Yes, nice. Okay. All right. Okay. So I think we've taken a lot of time already. So let's go to the next visual, the next page. We're going to have more insights into customer behaviors on this page. Right. So for our first page, we created an executive overview to see how well or how much the sales is performing or how sales is performing across various metrics holistically. Then we took a deep dive into how the brands and products are performing in terms of their total revenue, profit, and quantity in our second page. And then now we're going to have another drill down this to see how our customers are behaving, what payment type do they opt for when trying to make sales. We're trying to compare the customers, what payment type generated the most sale in terms of quantity, what payment type generated the most profit in terms of that particular payment type. So we're going to be analyzing customer behavior. So let's drill down into that. So we'll create a new page now. So creating customer behavior page. Okay, so for this particular page, I think I saw a question of can we see the shoe sales table? So let's look at shoe sales table. So this will give us some insights. Okay, yes. All right. So as an analyst, if I want to theory about customer behavior, about the process the business are trying to answer. Secondly, you have to ask, will it enable me to answer this question? You cannot answer a question about sales if you only have data about what the product is. You cannot answer the details about a particular product if you only have a sales information does not reference the product. So you have to ask yourself the question: does my data answer the question or provide answer to the question that my stakeholder is trying to ask? So on this second page, we're trying to analyze customer behavior. So what column in this data will help us to analyze that? So we can see things like payment type. Can see, okay, customers prefer to use this particular payment type when making purchases. That will tell us that, okay, maybe this particular payment type is easier or in a particular region, our customers prefer to use this particular payment type as, for whatever reason, maybe accessibility to the store, it could be cashless policy, it could be this particular payment type offers the least charges for them, so that's why they opt for this. So that will help us to understand, okay, what payment type should we push more across our branches in various regions? In a specific region, what payment type should we push more so that we can generate more sales, as that is what our customers prefer to use. So you can see how we are drawing or deriving insights from asking these particular questions about the data that we have. So for the first part, again, I would like to copy um, my filters and my, yes, I would like to copy my filters again and my card vision from my other tables. I like to copy that and put it into my new page to maintain consistency. So let's call this. So we're going to rename this. We're going to call this customer behavior analysis with customer behavior analysis. So I think I'm going to reduce the font size a bit. Yes. So this page speaks to customer behavior analysis. So for our first visual, we're trying to see what payment type generated the most revenue. So for that, we're going to be using a column chart for that. Yes. Let me try using the start actually. For payment type generated the most revenue. Let's leave this. Yes. Oh, I picked total quantity. Let's use total revenue. Yes, I want to see the revenue generated by. Yeah. So let's clean up our visual a bit. So I'm going to clean this from scratch, so that for those that joined late or didn't follow in the initial cleaning process, they can see how we go about that. So what do we want to do? First of all, I want to take out the the total revenue title and the values, because I feel that the title of the visual alone answers the question of what this this particular visual is speaking about. So we're going to take out the value and the title. Yes. Okay. That keeps it clean. On the y-axis, I want to change the font type of my title to Calibri. Yes. And replace this with 10. So, okay. But as for the values for the title, I think I'll take out the title as well because it's in the name already. Total revenue by payment type. So that's one. I want to include my data labels so they can easily see which generated, like the payment types. Yeah. Okay, I think this is fine. I don't need the background. I think I'll just turn off my background so that you can just blend with the rest of the dashboard. And yes, I think this is fine for me. So I can see how much revenue was generated by each of the payment types. So let's add another visual. This time, I think we'll be looking at the product sold by payment type. So we've seen the first question of, you've seen the answer to the first question of how much revenue was generated by each of these payment types. So we want to see how much quantity was sold. That is, when our customers were making purchases, what payment type generated or constituted to being used to pay for the most sales. Yes. So I'm going to duplicate this because I think this visual is going to answer that question for me. Or let me use it on chat. Do not chat. No, I think this visual will be better. Yes. So I'm going to just duplicate this. Okay, but for this one, we're not using revenue, we're using quantity. So what payment type constituted the most sales? Yeah, I think this is fine. This is fine. So yeah. So look at that. Although so we could infer that our customers prefer or paid for most of our products in cash than they did with bank transfer. It could also mean too that perhaps our customers paid for more products in cash, cheaper products, and paid for more products in bank transfer for the much more expensive products. So if we want to drill down by country, so we want to see how each of these payment types were being used across the country. So let's compare Canada and the US. So for Canada, the card payment type was the most used payment type to pay for orders and was also used to generate the most revenue in Canada, while cash came in second on both hands. Let's compare it to the US. So you see that in the US, cash came in third in terms of revenue generation for products sold and third in terms of quantity sold, as compared to it being the second used option in Canada. Awesome. So yes, I think this helps give us much insights based off of the data that we have as to how our customers are behaving in terms of their choice or their preferred choice of payment time. So yeah, so we have created our three tables. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes. So now we're going to be answering the business questions that were our customers presented to us before we built the dashboard. So before we proceed, let's see if we have any questions. Okay. Okay, someone is asking that if your data type is stored in Excel, is stored in SQL, why are we using Excel today? I think that's what he's asking. So yeah, so we're using Excel today because our data type was presented to us in Excel. And at the start of the session, we spoke about the various connectors that Power BI allows us to connect to. So we can connect to databases that's SQL Server, PostgreSQL database servers. We can connect to Excel files, CSV files, text files. We can also connect to warehouses, lake houses that can be housed on the Microsoft Fabric platform. So yeah, I think there are almost 100, or if not more than 100 connectors that Power BI allows us to connect to. So we are using Excel today because our data was presented to us in Excel. Okay, I think that's the only question we have. So let's answer our business case questions. So for the first question, we asked, how is the business performing overall? How is the business performing overall? So this comes in handy, or this is where our KPI visual comes in handy. So how is the business performing? The business recorded a total of 355,000 gross revenue, or generated a total of 355,000 in revenue. A total of 4,000 products were sold. That's the quantity of the products sold. You can also see that it was across 500 orders. So there were 500 orders, of which 4,000 plus units were sold, and a revenue of 355 was generated. So in terms of our profit, we generated 162,000 in profit. That's when we're comparing your revenue generated to your cost. We can see that we did 162,000 in profit. That's a revenue margin of 46%, or 0.46 in this regard. So for our second question, our stakeholders were asking, how has revenue and profit changed over time? That was the question. So we'll go to our executive summary page to answer this. So the question again now is, how has revenue, or how have revenue and profit changed over time? So we can see in our line chart, we are seeing how it's progressing. So let's look at revenue first. We can see that there was a slight decline between January and February. I think it dropped in about 300 or 200 and something in terms of the revenue generated. And it kept changing, but there was a spike in June. Remember, we mentioned this earlier. So it could be that summer holidays coming around June, so the purchasing capacity, or the purchasing desires of our customers expanded because of summer. Some people wanted to get more Clarks, or get more Nikes, or some people wanted to get a particular brand more. So if you want to compare as to how categories were performing across this period. So let's see for casual category. So for the casual category, there was a spike in June. So perhaps our customers were opting for more casual wears during the summer, because June sold more in terms of this category as it did in January. So let's see for formal wear. Okay, again, it sold more during the summer. Let's see for open wear, summer as well, but slightly towards July, it started dropping. Maybe it could be changes in the weather, changes in the temperature. That could People were switching from summer clothes to much more winter or fall-based clothing. Let's see for utility products. So for utility products, they sold more in April as compared to June. Categories like casual and formal and open were doing well in June as compared to other months. In the utility category, it did better in April than in June. So our customers were looking for much more summer-based outfits, which fall under the casual or formal or open wear, as compared to looking for utility products during summer. Why it's sold more in April. So you can see that our dashboard gives our stakeholders that expansive view of knowing how our products are performing, how sales is doing in terms of the total profit generated, in terms of the total revenue generated across these periods in time. Okay, let's answer the third question because we don't have much time. Yes. Which products are driving sales? Right. So which product sells the most? So let's look at our brands and product overview page. I think this will give us more starting to that. So which products are driving sales? That's which product is selling the most? Monk straps. Monk straps sold the most products. 575 products. 75 units of monk strap were sold, closely followed by Oxford and Boots. But in terms of profit, monk strap did not generate the most profit for the business. It was canvas. Canvas did not sell as much as Monkstrap, but it generated more profit. So you can see that our brands and products overview page helps our stakeholders answer questions as to how well specific brands, specific products are performing in terms of either the metric of quantity, that's total quantity sold, in terms of the metric of profit, in terms of the metric of cost generated. So let's look at another question. I think this will be our last question of the day. Which countries contribute the most? So which countries contribute the most in terms of revenue generated. So again, in our executive summary page, we have a visual that answers that. So what country generated the most revenue? It was 9,000. In terms generated a total of 39,127 in terms of revenue. What country generated the least revenue? Albania. So now let's compare it against categories. So let's say for casual wear, Australia generated the least revenue for casual wear category products. While, and I believe that's the US, the UK, surprisingly, the UK generated more revenue for casual wear than the US. So you can see how this offers more insights as to country performance and how they are categorized for each of the categories, each of the product categories that we have. You can also do the same for brands. So let's say for a particular brand, we want to know how they're performing in countries. So let's say for the Nike brand, Cyprus generated the most revenue in sales. Surprisingly. Wow. Okay, let's say for specific period, let's say for the period of June, which is summer period. Say from June 1st. Yes, let's say from June 1st to June 30th. Or let's say to July 31st. Ghana generated the most revenue for Nike products. So that could give our stakeholders the insights that when we are nearing the summer period, as we are gearing towards June, July, we need to ship more products to Ghana because it's generating more in that particular country as compared to Canada. Let's try for a different brand during this same time period. Let's try for Timberland. Oh, Kenya. Kenya is the country that generated the most revenue for Timberland during the 1st of June till 31st of July. So in 2027, when our stakeholders are doing planning for how they want to sell or how they want to improve sales, their sales plan, they can infer that this particular brand sells more in this particular region or this particular country during this particular period of time. So they will ship more products to this region and ship less of those products to countries that do not perform as much, like selling Timberland in Albania. So yeah, so I think with that, we've come to the end of um, our session today. Let's see if we have some questions. Okay, someone is saying, so basically everything we can do in Excel, we can do it in Power BI. Yes, yes. They're both business intelligence tools, but they have different strengths and they do better than each other in some certain aspects. So in terms of communicating visuals to your stakeholders, driving business intelligence related questions, Power BI is more suited because it's a traditional or a primarily based business intelligence tool. Excel does not offer that capacity. So if, let's say, for example, your data is stored in a particular lake house, you cannot import it directly into Excel. It's not as easy as pulling the data into Excel as you would have on Power BI. So they have different functionalities, they have different strengths. So that's why, again, I would emphasize it is key that you first of all understand what questions or what business questions are my stakeholders trying to answer. What data is provided to me, where is the data stored, how is the data structured, and what tool will give me the best capacity to analyze this data to answer my questions. So yeah, okay. Let's see. Any more questions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, all right. I think that's all the questions we have for today. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining today's session. I hope you guys have learned a lot. I encourage you guys to take out time to rewatch the video again, practice with the data sets, play around with your visual format. You can try different um, color palettes. Maybe you want to try like red, blue, but make sure that it's something that your stakeholders will be able to read, not just mixing colors together. Simplicity over complex dashboard designs. Yes. And I hope you guys would keep learning. I think every month Power BI updates their application. So it's key that you keep updating applications, keep watching. There are a lot of YouTube videos out there that offer much more understanding of Power BI. So you keep learning. The learning does not stop. And yes, I wish you guys success as you guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Please, can you confirm you can hear me clearly? Am I audible? Because I can see that my screen is frozen, but I want to be sure everyone can hear me. Ugonna, please, can you confirm you can hear me? Am I audible? Okay. Thanks for the
Yeah, yes, I
confirmation.
can.
Wow, that was a very powerful session. I don't want people to really bother too much because there would be a replay. I'm going to be sharing the recording, and you would be able to practice whatever thing that you've learned so far. And I believe you enjoyed the session as much as I did. This has been very insightful. I know many of you learned one or two things from this session. Many have learned a lot of things from this session. And I sincerely want to say a very, very big thank you to Ugonna for taking his time through this. Thank you so much for showing us how to actually use Power BI and to move from raw data to insights, and ultimately to answer business questions and to help them make decisions. Yeah, I know it was a bit fast, and that would be because many people here are still beginners. So I would encourage you to go back and rewatch it. And one thing that I really want you to take away from this session is that what we built today is that your dashboard does not have to be complicated to be effective. I know if he kept emphasizing on simplicity and clarity, and I dropped that nugget on the group as well, on the channel rather. Simplicity and clarity over crazy designs, over complex designs. And if you notice, we did not try to put everything in one visual. And I sent something recently on the group, on the channel, where I said all your visuals shouldn't be on a dashboard. Like, you can create different tabs and put those visuals in different tabs. So far, you are answering business questions, right? We created different tabs for it, for different parts of the analysis, so that the dashboard would not be overcrowded. And that is one of the skills that many people would not tell you. When you go on LinkedIn, you will see people having different designs on a tab, which is really not advisable. It's not what we advise people to do, because when your stakeholders or the audience or those that want to make decisions with it, when they go there, they will become overwhelmed because it is overcrowded with a lot of visuals. So the best thing that we can do for them is to simplify it, help them to be able to get clarity from what you're giving them. And that is a very, very important thing that you must understand as you build your own dashboards. You don't have to fill everything up in one page. You can have different visuals on different tabs. And so I encourage you to keep it simple, keep it clean, and keep it purposeful. So the question that you should always have in your mind or in your head should be that, what are the stakeholders now trying to understand? What questions are they trying to answer? What kind of decisions are they trying, or will this dashboard help them to solve? And that would help you to know the kind of visual to put in a particular tab. If you were following what Ugonna was doing, he had the executive summary somewhere. He had the dashboard or a tab for products, for the brand analysis. You also had one for the customer analysis. So when you know the kind of question you are trying to ask or you're trying to answer for the stakeholders now, you'd be able to know the kind of things that should be on a tab, rather than you having or answering all questions on a singular tab or on a singular dashboard. So a beautiful dashboard does not necessarily have to be the one that has the most visual. Sometimes less is usually more, less is usually better. And so to everyone that started with Power BI, especially the beginners, like I encouraged you earlier, do not become overwhelmed. There are a lot of things that he said that were kind of technical, that were kind of advanced. I don't want you to relax. Sorry, I don't want you to just sit down and be like, oh, this thing is kind of complicated for me. It is not complicated until you have tried it again. So I would encourage you, go back. So I encourage you, because when I sent the session now, when I started talking about the session, I encouraged people to go back to the introductory class that we had. That class was an introductory class to Power BI, where the different features on Power BI were talked about. They were taught, the different things that the DAX, how to use DAX, when to use DAX, how to create measures, and all those things were shared with us during the last class that we had, the introductory class. So I would encourage you, because like I said, there were some technical things I was saying that some persons did not understand. So when you go back to that introductory class, I think it will be very, very easy for you to understand. So like I said, go back to the introductory class, learn it, watch it, practice it, and then come back to this one and practice the data set that we had shared. So I'm going to be sharing the data set again. I'm going to, for those that registered for this class, for this session, I'm going to be sending a replay, which will include the data set. It will also include the link to the introductory class that we had. It will also include some other things that will be very, very useful. And during the last class, during our last Excel class, I shared a book with everyone that joined us till the very end. And that book is called Storytelling with Data, How You Can Tell Story Much Better as a Data Analyst or as a BI Analyst, right? I shared it with you. So I'm also going to be including it. I think I should give it as a bonus for those that stayed until this very end, until the end of the class. I'm going to share the link with us right now. When I'm done talking, I'm going to share it on the chat so that you guys can go there, open that book, read it, digest it, understand it, because it's more than just putting visuals on your dashboard. It is more than that. You need to also learn how to tell stories with data. You need to also learn how to build your insight and know the kind of things that you need to add to those visuals. So I encourage you, go back and do it again. Time is already gone. Go back to the basics, go back to the introductory class, open your laptop. For those that don't have laptop, you can watch it, digest it, ask questions when you have questions. And you can also reach out to one of your friends to give you laptop so that you can also work on it and not forget what you've learned. Because if you don't practice what you have learned right now, there is a high tendency for you to forget everything that you've learned. So I encourage you to borrow laptop if you can. Borrow the laptop from people, work on what we have done today, get the data set and recreate what we did today. I always say that you don't have to do everything that we've done. You can also, as a data professional, one of the skills that a data professional now should have is the ability to solve problem, ability to think critically. If you're able to think outside the box, aside from the business questions that we have, what other question can a sales manager do? Yes, what other question do you think a sales manager would like us to answer? And that is you thinking critically and thinking outside the box. So you don't have to rely on the questions that we've given to you. I gave us an assignment. Some persons had already submitted. Some persons are still saying they are still trying to clean the data. You can do your own research, clean the data and submit it. You don't have to get it correctly 100%. Still work on it. And there are some other questions that you can also get from the assignment I gave to you. Those questions are the things that you can also use to work on this thing. So I encourage you, like I said, you're not going to get everything right the first time. But the more you practice, the more familiar you get with these things, the more familiar it will become. And so don't recreate everything exactly that we did today. Once you understand the process, once you're able to import the data into Power BI, start asking your own questions. Think outside the box. What else can you discover? What other insights can you find from the data set that you are trying to analyze? What other decisions could this data help somebody to make? These are the things that would help you to stand out. So I really don't want to talk much, but like I said, Power BI is just a tool, but the real tool, Power BI is just a tool like Excel. But the real skill is you knowing how to ask questions, knowing how to analyze data, knowing how to communicate what you find in the data. And that is where that storytelling with data would also help you. And then helping people, or knowing how to also turn the insights that you get from the analysis that you've done into decisions. So I encourage you, go back and practice. Ugonna, thank you so much for taking your time. Yes, it might be too fast, but you have to still go back yourself, learn everything again, practice, and you are going to get much more familiar with everything that we've done. So before you go, I would like you to say one or two things that you got from this session. Say thank you to Gona for taking his time to have this session with us. I can't see in the comment section. I would also like to confirm you can all hear me. I don't know if I'm talking to myself. Okay, Ugona, thank you for confirming that. So thank you so much, Ugona, once again. I encourage you, go back to what we've done. I encourage you to do everything to work on it again. Ask questions in the comments. If you have any question in the comments as well, please go back to, ask them in the comments, and I will be there to answer you. I would answer all your questions. I'm going to also send an assignment. And lastly, before we wrap up, we are going to be having, I'm not sure if you can see me. Please, can you see me?
No, we can't, Esther. We can hear you clearly. Okay, now we can see you now. Can see you now.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I was saying that that we are going to be having other sessions. We're going to be having other sessions. We're going to have SQL, and we're going to also have Power BI. Python session much later. I don't want to bombard us with a lot of sessions this time around. So we are done Excel. Yeah, sorry, Ugonna, if you would like to take a leave, please, you can. Thank you so much once again for joining us. I really appreciate it. So I just want to say one or two things. Yes. So we are going to be having 2 more sessions, which are SQL and Python. But then we're not going to be having it anytime soon, because I would like you to digest the things that you've learned so far. I would also like you to work on the assignment that I shared some time ago. If you don't work on those assignments, if you don't work on or if you don't practicalize what we've done today, there is no use doing more sessions, because what's the use of doing sessions without you practicing? When you don't practice, that confidence will not be there. And I keep saying it every time. The more you practice, the more confidence you become. The more you practice, the more confidence you. I've spoken with people where they would be like, I've learned SQL, I've learned Power BI, but if somebody wakes me up now and asks me questions, I'm not able to answer them. That's because you don't practice. You need to take time and practice what you are learning. So I encourage you, go back to it. So we're going to be having those sessions next month, but that will be later next month. I would like to see your practice, see that you post those things, and try and be creative. I'm saying it again. Be creative. Don't just do what Ugonna has done. Be creative. Change it. Ask more business questions. The business questions that were not given to us in the data sets that we shared earlier. Ask different questions. Sit down and think. That is how you stand out. So please, I encourage you to go back, do those things. Another thing I would say is the next registration that would be coming out, please, whether you're on the channel or you have my YouTube channel, please ensure that you register. When you register, you'll be able to get the requirements that would be needed for the session, because I won't be coming to the WhatsApp channel every time to be posting. So there are some times that the data set that we'll be using, the required things that will be needed for the session will be sent to you. So I encourage you to register when we send the link to you, so that whenever we are sending all the required things, the data set and all that, you would use it. So you would get all those information. So I think that will be all for now. Like I said, we'll be having SQL class much later. I would also have Python class later. But for now, I would like you to watch the things that we've done, practice it, work on the assignment that I had given to you. And then some persons asked me whether they would whether they should send it to me on LinkedIn. How do they submit it? So you can either submit it to me via Gmail, and I would look at it. If I don't have time to look at it, but I would encourage you to post it on LinkedIn. I encourage somebody to do a walkthrough. Do a walkthrough of what you've done. Do a walkthrough of what you've done and post it. You never can tell who is watching. You never can tell who would see what you've done. I've said it so many times that there was a time last year, I think, a lady was learning automation. What she did was, after learning the automation, she did not leave it on the folder like that. What she did was to do the automation and she posted it on LinkedIn. She did a video walkthrough of that project and posted it. Somebody saw that visualization, saw the work she did. Sorry, not visualization, the automation now. Saw the work she did, and what did she do? Somebody saw it and gave her a contract job. Now, what if she had not done it? What if she had left it like that? What if she had said, okay, I'm still learning. I'm not an expert yet. I'm not an advanced, or I don't have the advanced knowledge yet. I'm just still trying. What if she had reasoned that way? That means that person wouldn't have seen what she was capable of doing. So please, I encourage you, as you are learning all these things, practice. I've seen a lot of, and I was so encouraged by all the different posts that you guys have been posting and tagging me, and I've been reposting it. So please, let's keep doing it. Many people will see what you are doing. So that's the encouragement that I will do. And how do we submit the assignment? Like I said again, for the assignment, you can submit it on via my email, send it to my email address, or you share it on LinkedIn. Two ways. Because when I say it, when you send it to me via email, I'm just going to give a comment, and that's all. But I would like you to also share it on LinkedIn so that people would see it, so that people can give their own comment as well, just like I would do so. So once again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. You can watch this again. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments, and I will give answers to those questions. So please enjoy the rest of your day, and yes, and have a nice day, everyone.